Assalamu alaikum. Today we'll be talking about implementing digital strategies for future parking. And there's a three subtopic that we'll be focusing on. This is the technological approach to improve the parking processes, the current one. And how do we do with the communities, the community-based parking? Most of us are, you leave your house, you go to work as a community, then you go back visiting somebody, they live in a community, you go to the mall, that's a community parking. And what kind of role artificial intelligence gonna play in the future of the parking industry? And the third point is the smart parking application and trends. What goes beyond the digital experience? So with that, my first topic that I'm gonna discuss, or the first subtopic, is that currently the parking industry, with their current level of technology, they're failing. It's a dying industry because they're simply not keeping up with what's going on in the technology field. All of them, except few, of course. And the downfall of the parking industry is attributed to three major reasons. There's a lot of reasons, but the three main reasons are insistence on retrofitting old system. And I'll go into details and I'll show you what's the dangerous of this pathway that they're taking. The second one is lack of anticipation of emerging technology. And you have to think forward. Technology is moving much faster than automation of automating your new factory. So daily you could see some advancement in technology, and you have to anticipate what's coming next, not what happened 5 or 10 years ago. And there's a point that many people don't talk about, but maybe it's the most important point, is the neglect of 360 degrees total experience model. People talk about customer experience, user experience, employees experience, and they talk about total experience, but only as a common ground between all of those. Even though this model does work in certain industry or certain cases, but in case of the parking, it has to be total experience, 360 degrees, and I'll have a little bit explanation on it. Then I will show you what's the solution. So first of all, we talk about the insistence on retrofitting old systems. If you take a phone, for example, most of us didn't see the one on the left of the screen. They didn't even have a dial. One guy smiling, maybe he saw it, right? But anyways, so they made a little retrofit. They put dial on it, so you don't have to call the operator to connect you with your friend. So they put the dial for you, so you connect yourself with them. Then they did another retrofit. They went to plastic phones that has a dial, which is electronic. This is better now, but this is still retrofitting. And you connect it to the wall. Then 10, 20 years later, with the advent of 900 megahertz frequencies, they have now a telephone in the right middle that it has some digital interface. Now you could have memory, you don't have to write numbers, and there's another set that you could walk with it about 10 meters around the house, and you could still hear the phone, so you're not tied to the wall. It's still a retrofit. Then something big happened. They jump into the first cellular phone. I witnessed certain phones like this where people used to carry battery on their back. Then they jump into the first Nokia that I think most of us, they know what's the first Nokia. Okay. From left to right, they're retrofitting old system, and they're not making a drastic change to the business model of the phone or the total need of the phone. So, but when you see smartphones, now we're not talking about phones anymore. We still call it phones. It's not even a phone. It's one of the functions is telephone, and it's your mailbox, it's your newspaper, it's your radio station, it's your TV, and it should be also your parking. Maybe people don't watch the news every day. Maybe people don't listen to the radio every day. But if each one of us, the vast majority, they park at least between 4 to 10 times per day. From home to work to shopping center to visiting a friend, picking kids from school, dropping kids at school. You park most of your time, yet we don't even have one smart application that takes care of all your needs. So jumping from the Nokia phone all the way to a smartphone this is the jump that did not take retrofit into consideration. They didn't see what's the one previous to it. No, they said technology has changed. We are 50 years behind. We need today to sit as a company, phone manufacturer, and we need to invent a phone according to today's technology. That's what they did, and that's why we have smartphone, or else we will have a better Nokia or a better Apple phone, but not a smartphone. Now, there is another big failure point in the parking industry, and that's they fail to understand that we're moving from the third revolution, industrial revolution, to the fourth. We're almost in the middle of it, and we're fast approaching to totally embrace the fourth industrial revolution. In IR 4.0, they're going to depend heavily on artificial intelligence processes. It's not going to be partial. It's going to be almost full reliance on it. And the rise of the artificial intelligence algorithms and the more engineers that are familiar with it, that's going to pave the way to realization of digital city and smart cities. And we start witnessing many digital and smart cities around the area start to form, and around the world also. And that's going to be the standard moving forward. It's not going to move backward anymore. Now, you say, what does it have to do with parking? I'll say it has to do 100% with parking, because when we will end up in the fourth revolution, when we are 100% inside RI 4.0, we're gonna see the level of automation in the vehicles move from, well, it already moved from 0. I don't think there is 0 anymore. Level 1, which is driver, some assistance to the driver. Many cars have it now as a standard. Now, partial automation, the vast majority also have it now, partial automation. And many cars also have conditional automation, where it brakes for you if you forget to brake, or if you don't put your hands on the steering wheel, it alerts you. Then high automation exists also in cars, and now we're moving to full automation. And that brings the topic of the autonomous cars. Now, let me ask you a question, and I heard this question asked before and many times in the past 2 days. What happened when we have autonomous vehicles, such as the one on the bottom right of the screen? How it's going to deal with the parking system? There is no driver, and maybe there is no passenger. Maybe at night I want to send it to the parking lot. There is not even a passenger, not even a driver. 0 human in the vehicle. Okay? Who's going to open the window to push a token for a token, or if a paper, or to make payments? No one. So is it going to mean the parking is not going to work? No. It means we have to design our parking system to actually, today, not when this one happens, from now. We have to have a parking system that deals with AI, that deals with autonomous vehicle, that deals with the fourth revolution of the industry. And that only leads us to one conclusion, and one conclusion only. Traditional parking system will soon become obsolete. It's not a question for debate. It's going to be all obsolete. All the companies that make pay on foot machines and tickets and barriers, and it's going to be like right now somebody's telling you, I want to use a pigeon to send a message. Does it work? It works, but for you, not for the community. Okay? And the third point is that it has to do with total experience, because we are changing a human behavior. And human behavior is one of the toughest things to do. You could put a very good system, but if people are not willing to use it, okay, because they're not familiar with it, so they're not going to jump into it. So you want to build a system that give them a 360 degrees total experience. Now, looking at those charts, you see the one on the right, they talk about total experience is defined in many industries as customer experience, user experience, employee experience. When they meet in the middle, so about 10 to 15% is what we're talking about as a total experience. But that means also that you're neglecting 85% to 90% of each of their experiences. We don't care about it. We care about what's in the middle. That's fine. Maybe it works for industry, certain industries. You look at the bottom left, and they increase more kind of index of happiness or what have you. But again, they look at the common ground of everybody, and they call this one a total experience. It works also for certain industry, because sometimes you cannot make everybody happy and satisfied. I understand that. However, when it comes to parking, we must have 360 degrees total experience, and I have a slide that explains that in details, because we're asking people to change their behavior, to embrace the new technology, and to be fully supportive of it. So you have to give them something in return. For example, today, talking about how good this is an experience, if you leave your house to work or to a journey, let's call it a journey where you have maybe 3-4 stops, you have 4 access types. You leave your building, you have either remote or RFID. You go to your work, you have maybe another remote and another RFID. Then you have to push for tickets if you go to a mall or commercial building, and maybe it's not a paper ticket, it's a token, so you take the token, then you have to pay. There's 3 payment modes: POF machine. How do you pay? Cash, you pay by credit, you pay by an old card, many other things. Then if you want to validate your parking, it's always unclear, except if you go to the same place and you're very familiar with the outlets and how you do the validation. But today, every mall, every commercial building, every restaurant, they have different mode of validation. Just think that the phone, every time you look at it, it's look different. It's not really usable. So that will break your experience and the satisfaction of your experience, and people are always pulled back to try something new, and they're not to blame. So when we talk about 360-degree total experience, we're taking into account the customer, the driver of the car, or if it's autonomous car, it doesn't matter anymore, the establishment experience, the owner of the parking, a green initiative. This is very important. And the system should be smart and adaptive. So if you talk about customer experience, any system they use should have familiar interface. It has to be very familiar to them, or else they're gonna resist it. They should have multiple payment channels. Some people prefer to pay using their Samsung Pay, Apple Pay, cash. It doesn't matter. That's their preference, and the system should accept it, not enforce certain payments on them. It should have omni-access capability, and this is a topic that should be one of the very important topics, because just imagine one access opens everything for you as a user. So you go to your building, and you could open your parking with one device or one program, and I'll talk more about how. You could open your gym with the same thing. You don't have to ask a key for the gym. In the building, you could access parking, you could access elevator, you could access the gym and any other facilities they have with the same method. And when your residence stops or when you move away from that place, all these access will be taken away from you. Nice and easy. Then it should generate revenue. If I have 3 spaces and I have only 2 cars, I could generate revenue from my 3rd space. What's stopping me from doing that? And it should be touchless, because after COVID-19 era, I think it's going to be for a long time, like hygienic processes are enforced. So it should be touchless also. Now, if you take a look at the establishment experience, it should improve their return on investments. It means that the system should be cost effective. It should be, the business rules should be easily changed and flexible, and they can do it without any complication. Data transparency is a very important topic. Me, as an owner of a parking, I don't need to depend on my operator, on my finance manager, or on my auditor to see what's going on over there. I have the same amount of data as much as anybody has, and that assures me a good transparency and clean books. It should be platform-based. So if I have, let's say, 3 buildings, do I need to buy 3 separate platforms? And the answer is no. You should buy one platform and you plug in your locations and you see it live on the platform. So it's be cloud-based, of course. And you should allow for flexible pricing that will give the owner of the parking the ability to give certain rates to certain customers without advertising it. As soon as they arrive, the proper price will be given to them. They could give free parking days, they could give discounts and what have you. And it should be compliant to all the green initiatives, because right now, if I have an excellent solution, but it causes harm to the environment, I will be stopped today, maybe. Tomorrow, for sure, I will be stopped from using such system, because as you see in the news, this topic keeps surfacing up, and eventually governments are being forced to follow the certain emission standards. So I just grabbed one example just to illustrate what I'm saying. If you look at a building with 1,500 car space, so let's say like the IFC, they have, I think, around 2,000. Most commercial building, they have very close to this number. And if there is only queuing 3 minutes, let's say you wait 15 seconds entering and 2.5 minutes exiting, and sometimes this 2.5 minutes turn out to be 15 minutes. I was speaking to one of the clients. He stopped at our PARKONIC stand, and he said in Coca-Cola Arena, they waited 1.5 hours to exit. So I say, okay, those are extremes, I understand. I'll use 3 minutes only for queuing. What does it mean? What am I spewing into the environment in a year? If you take, in a year, 12 kilograms of CO2 will be in the air, 64,000 kilograms of carbon dioxide, and we'll be wasting 30,000 liters of fuel. Now you say, this is not big numbers, I don't care about it. True, and I don't care about it either, but this is only one location. If you open a map, it doesn't even show up on the map of Dubai. If you look at the UAE, see how many locations we have, tens of thousands of locations, then the number of fuel, you're talking about millions of liters, you're talking about thousands of tons of CO2, and you look at it worldwide, because parking industry is not specific to a country. If you look at it worldwide, now look at the losses in fuel, and look at the hard emission that we're putting in the air. Again, an ocean is formed by little droplets that go down, and at the end you have an ocean. Same thing. These 10 minutes that you stop a car, or 3 minutes that you stop a car idling, cause all these things. Now, does a parking system cause queuing? And the answer, yes, it does. Is there an alternative? Yes, there is, and it should be used. So, after all my points that I made, and I try to summarize as much as I can, what's the digital strategy roadmap for future parking? If we existed today, if today we just started humanity and we say we need parking, what would we do knowing the state of technology? You say, okay, first of all, the system, any parking system should be smart and adaptive. It means it should be integrative. It should look at other devices, what it has, see how it talks to them, yet it should be focused to parking. I don't want to charge my car, and no, parking is parking. You want to charge your car, of course, it will allow for that, but let's focus on parking, because the problem starts there. The problem starts in parking my car without barrier, easy payment, 360 degrees total experience. If we put a charging station in the parking, okay, I could park my electrical car. If you put car wash, we could do car wash. If you put valet, you could do valet, no problem. But let's focus on the parking first. Every other need or a service is simple to adapt. But if we don't solve the original problem, that what are we talking about? Now we have a bad parking that cause delays, and it's throwing thousands of kilograms of CO2, yet I want to put my electric car and charge it. The goals are, conflicting. It should harness the convenience of smart devices. Right now, even kids, they have smart devices. So you should give them a familiar interface, provide 360 degrees, total experience, we spoke about it. It should be flexible and a scalable platform. So the key word here is a platform, not separate system, that if somebody have like 10 10 buildings or 10 structures, that they have to buy 10 separate systems, then you have to do the integration, and it works at different degrees and it fails at different degrees. No, it should be already platform-based. And it should give me flexibility in pricing, in business rules, and it should be scalable. I could grow it from 1 building to 1,000 buildings. It doesn't matter. It should comply with all green initiatives. We touched on that already. Touchless, hygienic, COVID-19, we touched on it. It should be economically viable for all users. And so when we think about building a new system, we shouldn't present a solution that costs 10 times or even twice as much as traditional system. It's gonna fail. The end users gonna stay away from it, and the parking owners gonna stay away from it. So it should be viable economically also. It should provide practical solutions to chronic shortage in parking. Now this topic is very important because you go to a certain area and you see that inside the buildings in this area there's a lot of occupancy that the occupancy is low, so there's a lot of unoccupied spaces, yet outside there's problem in parking. Would a smart parking solution allow to solve this problem? In today's state of technology, yes. A traditional parking system does not allow it. And don't worry, I'll present you with the solution because we already have it. The last point, it should be forward-looking into the future. So, if, for example, autonomous car, cashless society, pay by Bitcoin, whatever is coming in the future, when we hear it now, we should prepare for it because it will take place. And lately, it's taking place faster and faster. Welcome to PARKONIC. PARKONIC is a system that we, at PARKONIC company, we designed in 2015. We started the design. We took it as a product in 2017. In 2018, we came to Gulf Traffic, and we displayed our advanced system as compared to all traditional systems, and we won the Gulf Traffic Award for Best Product of the Year back in 2018. And since then, we're doing amazing improvement to it. And I would like only to say here that it's the first ever digital, cloud-based, artificial intelligence parking system. And that's the seal of award from the Ministry of Artificial Intelligence. And what it is, it's a market disruptor. PARKONIC is a market disruptor. It's like when the phone came, or when the TV came, when people are listening to radio. Did it disrupt the radio market? Yes, it did. When Uber came, is it disrupting the market of the taxi? Yes, it is. It doesn't mean it's going to kill the taxis, but it's going to disrupt their market. And that's what PARKONIC is doing to the parking industry, because it's fully automated. It could work without barrier or with barrier, but without barrier, remember I said autonomous car. There is no barriers for them. Or it could open automatically for them. And it's ticketless. You're never going to touch a ticket machine. You're never going to touch a payment machine. It's very hygienic. Now, those are the basic components, or all the components actually, of the system. And I break it into 3 parts. You have the one that are optional on the right of on the left of the screen. Those are pay-on-foot machine and the housing for it. Can we not install it today? Yes, we can eliminate it today. But would some user ask for it because they haven't made the change? Yes. So if you want to include the 360 degrees total experience satisfaction, you keep it as a transitional means. And you go to a parking lot or a parking structure where they use about 20 units, and you say we could install only 1 or 2. So remember I said it should be economically valuable. A pay-on-foot machine is the most expensive unit in a parking system. So if you could actually bring it down, their investment from to 20% and phase it out in 3 to 5 years, we did good. So we left only whatever on the right-hand side of the screen, a system that comprises of computerized racks, and the user will not see it. Even the owner of the building wouldn't see it. And you have a barrier as an option that you're not going to interact with it physically. And you have your camera that the camera sees you, but you don't see it. So the only component that exists in a parking system is your smartphone. That's it. Just imagine. You go to your building and you have just smartphone. You don't need remotes, RFID. You go to your work, you just have your smartphone. Same interface. You go to the mall, you have your smartphone. You park it somewhere, you have a smartphone. You want to pay, you pay through your smartphone. You want to reserve a parking, you reserve it through your same interface. One application, and it does all your parking needs. Now, you might ask, did we cover everything? And yes, we did cover everything in PARKONIC so far. Would be something in the future that we will cover? Yes, of course. But currently, this is what everybody uses for parking. There is no more additional one that we know about that is significant. You could do free flow that for places where, such as malls or airports, it's a busy place. You don't want a barrier to open and close every time and cause delay of, from 30 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on the user. So you want to use barrier-free entrance and exit. And I know many of you are going to ask me, what about enforcement and payment? And we solve it, and I'll answer all your questions later on. Then you have PARKONIC Residential. There, an option of barrier could be placed because it's not going to cause any backup. It's very, very low traffic. It could work without barrier, but maybe the building owner say, I want the barrier. It's okay. They say, fine. Same system, same platform allows for that also. And it has the omni-access capability. It means within the building, I can open any access, any door, any area that I'm allowed to go to, and I can do it with my PARKONIC application. I don't need different keys, RFIDs, or remotes. We have PARKONIC Space Share that allows you to put your parking lot on the market when you're not using it. If you're traveling or if you're at work, you could rent the one at your house. If you're at your house, you could rent your space at work and vice versa. So it generates money for you. You put it on a shared economy platform and you make money when you make money. And we have also designed everything and it's ready. Then you have gate access. Gate access, those are for communities that receive visitors. And usually the current state of the matter that the security guard stops you and says where you're going. You give him a name, you give him street number and a villa, and you say, welcome, sir, or welcome, ma'am. And they don't have any idea if you're going there or not. Well, PARKONIC gate access make it very convenient because always we have to remember, we have to do total customer satisfaction. So you have to give him something that is very convenient, yet it's secure to the community and to the community management and to the driver and to the owner of the villa. So the owner of the villa could send an invitation, electronic invitation, where immediately when the invitation is sent, the community management guard house, they're notified, and the visitor is notified. So when the guest arrive near the gate, it opens automatically for them because they are already in the system, and they should leave by the time that they're allotted to them to stay and visit. So if they don't leave on time, or if they leave their car overnight, the security will be alerted, and the tenant who invited them will be alerted. And the final one that we unveiled, final component, the fifth one that we unveiled in Gulf traffic is the on-street parking. We did our device where you park on the side of the street. The smart system takes your license plate, charge you the proper charging, and you leave. And if you don't do it again, there's a violation that will deal with it in the question and answers. But the beauty of it is that all these 5 components, the user does not interact with it. As I said, there's a camera and there's a barrier that the user doesn't touch, doesn't interact with it. And all of it is the same artificial intelligence platform, is not a different platform for different term. Example, if I'm a developer and I have a community, I need gate access, and I need to activate in my residential towers the PARKONIC residential and space share and use it for omni access. And I have a mall somewhere, so I need the free flow. I'll buy one platform for all my business, and I can set the business rule for all locations, and I can change it anytime, and I can see the data with a very transparent way. So this diagram or this photo illustrates a smart city where all these services are activated. And I have short 2 videos for each that explains the process. And after that, if anyone has a question, I'll be glad to answer it. I'll start with the free flow and show you how it works. So free flow, the barriers are not used at all. It's an establishment where they can keep the barriers in open position, entering and exiting. It means queuing is 0. Now, some locations say, I want them to enter without barrier, but I want to make ensure that they paid before they leave. You could configure the system, not a new system, same system, just configuration. And some places say, I have a mall, but I want them to stop at the entrance and at the exit because I receive only 1,000 cards per day. Say, no problem. The same system can do the same thing for you, even though you don't need it, but you could use it in that mode. So that's the free flow, and as you see, it could work as 100% automated or 50% or 75%, depending on the location and the owner needs. And when you look at the space share, I do residential first, and we do space share because they're related to each other's. One just for your own, and one for your own, and you're gonna put your extra space for rent or your existing space when it's not occupied. Now, on the same platform, let's assume there's a residential building, 70 stories or what have you. They put PARKONIC residential and give Omni access to all of their tenants and residents. And some in the future, they said, we want to activate space share. We hear that people have a lot of spaces that they want to rent, or the building owner, they have 100 space still available, and they live near JBR or near in Jumeirah, near Burj Al Arab, or in these busy places, and they want to activate it. Would they need to buy a new license? No, it's the same license that they have for the platform. They only activate the property of space share. And I'll show you the video at the end of the show. We have the on-street parking that we unveiled 2 days ago. Same platform again. And that concludes the presentation, and I'm ready to take any questions that you have. Thank you for staying with me for that long. No question means people don't like the topic or they understood it 100%. One of the two. But any question you have about it's not the system that we're designing. It's the system that, as I said, we did it in 2015, and we did it solely because we said we used to sell parking equipments from different manufacturers, and we were always bound by the limitation that they have. So in 2015, we decided to stop buying, take a break, go to our lab, and we have our phenomenal software engineers that we say, if today we want to do a new parking system, would we use any of the current system that exists? And the answer was no. And if you ask today anyone, if you want to do a cooking device, last thing he say, I want to start by cutting wood and dry it, and it's not even some topic of discussion. They say you have to start with either microwave or you start with electricity or something similar. So we did the same with PARKONIC. We say we have to start with today's current state of technology, and we start designing PARKONIC. We finished it. It was very tough to us to put it in the first location because everybody say, has it been tried somewhere? And we say no, but we tested it internally, and it was very tough to do our first installation. People are afraid from jumping into something that is unknown, they haven't seen. But after we conquered the first location, and I use conquer because it was like a battle, the second location was easier, then the third location became easier, and on and on and on. And I truly think that PARKONIC and similar thing that will take place in the future is the way going forward. I'm not here to advocate just use PARKONIC everywhere. PARKONIC is a product. It could be used everywhere, yes. But what I would like to do, to send a reminder to the maker of the parking machines to wake up and understand that in 3 to 5 years, this industry, if they keep doing it the same way, they're going to close their shops. Or they're going to go to countries where there is no regulation, nobody cares about anything or about the experience of the users. And this is not right. We have in our hand something very precious that will help the users and help the owners generate more revenue to the society, decrease the emission of the harmful gases, and it exists today, and it's cheaper than the regular one. So we are at the crossroad where these companies and those establishment owners need to make a decision. Are they going to continue supporting traditional parking that is very inefficient, or they want to jump into the new era of parking? PARKONIC is a leading company that took on itself to lead the way, and they have the product designed, tested, installed at many locations, And I could report to you, today it's 100% error-free, and we reach, there's one sticky issue that says license plate, they're not, I'll ask you the questions that you guys should be asking me. I'll save you the time. They say that you're using your ANPR to detect the license plate of the car, and it's only 95% accurate at best. So what do we do with the 5%? I say, I totally agree with you. A financial transaction should be 100% accurate. So what we did, we developed our artificial intelligence algorithm that goes on top of the optical character recognition engines. So the OCR engine will extract 90%, 91% accuracy rate. You say, fine enough. Then for the rest of the accuracy rate, our artificial intelligence engine kicks in and brings it to 100%. And it was tough to develop, but we did it. And it was tough to convince people. So we went to the Artificial Intelligence Ministry of the United Arab Emirates. They came and they checked our codes, they checked everything, and they gave us their seal of approval. So right now, we could use PARKONIC for financial transactions because the ALPR engine, the optical character recognition system, in addition to AI algorithm, will give you the 99% to, I say 99% because sometimes somebody walk in front of the car and actually it's blocked, so you don't even see it. Okay, in this case, there's a process for it also. So what we told our customers that we guarantee you 100% accuracy, and he says, what's your guarantee? Say, we pay for anything that was not detected. We are that sure of it. They say, if you miss 5 cars, say, I'll pay from my pocket for you. You have nothing to worry about. So now it's becoming like easier for them to accept. Any questions? Gentlemen on the left.
Okay, so the world actually is moving now into technology, but some business owners yet they think about generating more revenues. So could PARKONIC be a part of urban industry to cooperate with urban industry to generate more revenue?
Absolutely. Thank you for this question. Look, I'll answer. There is 2 parts actually to your question. Because I hear you said parking owner, then you talk about the urban, so we're talking about communities, right? If I understood you correctly.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. I'll give you, look, we used to be operators for regular traditional system before we did PARKONIC. And we know the numbers. I mean, we used to operate in places where, let's say, the leakage of the sales is 0 because we have auditors and we have a lot of systems that prevent leakage. And that's why we're rated 5-star company by the government, because we have these processes. And we used to sell at a location, certain location. I'm not going to name it. But if you ask me later on outside this forum, I give you all the information with the documents. I have no problem. And we used to sell X amount of money using traditional system. However, traditional systems are flawed. So if the barrier opens up and 3 cars exit as a train, that's it. You lost your payments. There is nothing you can do about it. If you have a business rule that you allow only 2 hours parking free, then after they have to pay, and people start rotating their cars, you lose potentially. I mean, there's other way to do it also, prevent it from happening, but not all locations had it. So you lose this income also. So when we install PARKONIC at these, PARKONIC answers all these questions. So, and have present a solution for it and prevent them from happening if the business rule that the owner inputted is that. If we say first 2 hours free after they pay, it means it shall be activated immediately and there is no way around it. So when we install PARKONIC for that client, the sale revenue jumped 100% overnight. So now talk about a very good investment that cost you less than the traditional one, and it jumped your sales by 100% overnight. And the other question that you talk about urban, I think I understood what you say, but you go to a community where let's say, I don't know, JBR is a prime example because I'm close to it and I see it every day. You see that there is a lot of need for parking and there is no enough parking. So people are roaming around, honking their horns, and it's terrible situation. But if you go under the building in JBR, you see it about 30 or 40% it's vacant. People are not living in it. It's like vacation home. So could they put it on the market through a park share program, which is part of PARKONIC? Yes, they can. Is it easy? It's a click of a button. Would it generate money for them? Yes, it does, of course. Would it generate money for the owner of JBR, Dubai Holdings? Yes, it would. Would it solve the problem of the user? Yes. So the entire community are benefiting. Not one person or one entity got the benefit on the account of another one. No, it's a solution that gives not same benefits, because your benefit as a driver is to park, me as a space owner is to make money, but both our values or both our goals are accomplished and we are both satisfied. So to answer your question, to sum it up, yes, the revenues where PARKONIC is installed, you see a dramatic increase in it because of many issues. Leakage is one of them. Inaccurate records is another one. Lack of data transparency, close cousin of the second one. It will be eliminated. And business rules are being followed without any gaps that can take place. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that's so clear.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other question? Yes. Sure. No problem. Please go ahead.
And I'll make it a brief question, and we can have follow-up afterwards. And I enjoyed seeing the gateways push out the vehicles and maybe minimize the queues as you're exiting the facility. But how do you interact once you get onto the surface streets? So you're pushing all these vehicles out onto the street, but now the street is jammed up. What is good ways to overcome those challenges?
Right. Nice question. Thank you very much. It depends on location by location. It's a location by location. I have yet faced a situation where if the barrier is open, that you push it to a main street. But if the situation is pushing it on a main street, then you have to put a little speed hump to do it. Then you have to do it for safety. I mean, then suddenly it's not your system capability, it's the safety requirements, and that will take precedence. So you put small one, and you're hoping that people will follow the safety rules. And yeah, we don't want to solve our problems and throw our problems to the main street. I see what you mean. Yeah. Any other question? You have a question. If I can end it, right? Yeah. No problem. No problem. I thank you very much for your attendance. Our booth is to your right. If you have any question regarding violation, payments, system cost, technology, anything, our engineers are there. I'll be there to answer your question. Thank you very much. Thank you.